Good morning from Rocket Garage and Service. This morning I'm going to talk about how I solder. Thought maybe someone can use this tip. So I am currently sitting in or under my car, Trans Am. So when I took my K member out, I did not disconnect my ABS wires when I took the motor out. And they pulled, let me see if I can't find a plug. So I have fans on because I have heaters on and I'm trying to circulate the air. So hopefully the audio won't be too jacked up. So they pulled them straight out. The connector or broke. I think one side broke and the other one pulled it right out of the connector. So I have a spare Trans Am. I cut a connector out of it. Let me see if I can't find it. Where'd it go? Here we go. So, and I left enough lead on it to be able to solder these together. I have this heat shrink kit from Summit. I have my heat gun. And I have a soldering iron. And somewhere around here I have solder. Let me see. Where'd it go? Yeah, one reason I get frustrated working under cars is because you can never find what you're looking for. Alright, let me find this solder and we'll pick back up. Alright, so I found the solder. So first thing you want to start with if you're going to solder is some rosin core. You can see how long I've had this. Is Radio Shack. It lasts a long time. This is really thin. See, it's 30 thousandths, I believe. You know, the thinner your solder is, the easier it is to melt. So that's one reason I chose this. And sometimes rosin core just doesn't want to melt right. Some people who do a lot, they know their percentages. This is a 60-40 percentage, which is the amount of lead versus the other material it has in it. So anyways, so I get down to some basics. I'm not going to be able to, I'll try, but I think I'm not going to be able to show you as I'm doing it because there's no really good way of me holding this and soldering. So what I do is, I got my pigtails. I'm going to get my heat shrink, which I cut about, inch and a half. And I slide. This is the biggest part. I have removed or screwed up so many times not putting my heat shrink on first. So you'll get all soldered up and you'll be like, man, that looks good. You always do your best job when you forgot something to put like the heat shrink on. Or if you're doing connectors, you forget to do like your back half. So anyways, you gotta make sure your heat shrink's on. So we got it on, right? And the biggest thing is I'm gonna have to, like, when I cut the camera, I have to untwist this a little more. But you don't want to go ahead and melt this in. It'll get too close to your soldering iron. I mean, that thing's right now probably 300 degrees. I don't know, 400. I mean, it's hot. So I'll unravel it. I'm gonna do that now. Ooh, my light just turned on the camera. So now we have our wires, our heat shrink's on. So of course you want to make sure our colors go together. What I do is I usually twist them and then like tie them together, cause one bad part about heat shrink is it makes it very hard and brittle. And so my goal is, if I already have the wires intertwined and then put heat shrink on it, at least if the solder cracks, maybe it'll still have connectivity. I'm a big butt connector guy, but in this area I wanted it to be more clean and streamlined. I didn't want a butt connector, so that's why I'm soldering. So I'm going to tie both these up and I'll show you how I do it. Alright, so as you can see, they're all intertwined. Just really, I mean technically I could put probably the heat shrink down on it and it would be good right now. So what I'm gonna do, I ain't gonna be able to film and do it, I kind of show you. I'll get my soldering iron. So let's see, I'll demonstrate and then I'll show you So I put my soldering iron. It takes 2 hands. The reason why I can't film and show you. I take my soldering iron and I touch the back of it. I just leave it there maybe a couple of seconds. And then so imagine my soldering iron is still touching here. Then I get my solder. And as I'm got the soldering iron touching the back, I get my solder and I just start like doing this, right? Kind of combing it. And if it doesn't take the solder, I'll go over to the side, touch my soldering iron, melt it, and then try to bring the melted solder on top. And for some reason, you got to get that heat transferred through these wires. Sorry, that was my dog. So once you do that, and then you get it, once you carry it through, you'll see it just start melting through. And I just comb it until it's all silver. And if I get a bubble on it, like I say, I put too much, I just flick it. I do that, and it'll literally just fall. And do both sides the same way. And then I'll show you the next step on like the heat shrink and all that good stuff. So let me go ahead and tin both of these. I think that's the proper word. And I'll move to the next step. All right, so exactly what I said. Like on this one, had a soldering iron on the back side. And had it, the iron. Now this is my cement mark. I'll use this as an example. So my finger's the iron. I had it on the back side, holding it against the non-insulated part of the wire. And then it didn't take. I put it right here in the middle. It didn't take. So I moved my rosin core to the side, melted it a hair on the soldering iron, and brought it over and kind of did that until it finally took. And then I was able to comb. Did the same thing on this one, but I put a little bit too much. So I had to do the old flick it. I did just like that, and it dropped. In fact, I think it dropped on my pants somewhere, so I could have, yep, you can see. I think there's some silver. Might have been it. So anyways, so pretty simple, right? Biggest thing, like I messed up on the other side, is, see a little, right there's a little nick. And what's going to happen is we've got to take that down with a pair of pliers, or it's going to damage our heat shrink. So let me do that and I'll show you next step. So literally, I just took the pliers and I just pushed down right here. Imagine my fingers are pliers. Boop. It's gone. It crushed it down. So now we don't have that little piece of wire that's going to poke through our heat shrink. So now I used the smallest heat shrink I got, because on the other side I used the next size larger, and it didn't come down like I wanted to. So now I'll pull them down, get my heat gun. Let's see if I can do this with one hand. I got to unplug this one. Oh goodness. All right, let me start you back over. All right, so we got the heat gun, right? I like this little curve tip that kind of keeps you from heating up both sides. Like say if I had it without the tip on it, all that heat's blowing everywhere, I only want to concentrate on one at a time, because what if my heat shrink isn't in the right place? Both of them will start melting, which right now they're holding really good, but sometimes you'll have them where they don't want to stay. Like I said, I kind of feel to make sure it's right there in the middle. Both of them feels pretty good. Let's see. So then I turn it on high, and it takes it a minute to get hot. So you don't want to waste, I just give it a second to warm up, right? You just you'll feel it. You might be able to see it glowing red, maybe. Yep, it's starting to really glow now. Let's see. So we can do this one-handed. And you don't want to burn your wires. Sometimes you'll get this too hot. See how it's starting to go down? And I hit it until it moves, and I'd come over here. I do the other side. There it goes. Oh yeah, that one's a good one. That's how I wanted the other side to come out. That's it. That's really soldering 101. This side came out great compared to the other side, but see how streamlined it is? And it ain't bulky like butt connectors and everything. And then I'll make my twist, and then I'll zip tie it up and connect the ABS wire. Anyways, that's kind of Mike's version. Oh man, I'm telling y'all, as soon as I start the camera. Oh. So anyways, this is how it ended up. I like zip ties for it helps with vibration. But yeah, came out great. Other than like this side, came out looking like crap. But anyways, I want how to use electrical tape. But you know, after you do one, you learn on the second one. All right, moving on.